Hello everyone, this is the first LinkedIn Live for this week, and today I have the beautiful and talented Libby Langley here. And when we first met, we were discussing this prior. Libby, we've known each other since 2013, was that right?
Yeah, we met in 2013, yeah.
So back when I was a young, naive and inexperienced entrepreneur, we were part of the same mastermind group. We went to the same national conferences, and probably out of a room of hundreds of people, we just became friends and hit it off and had a laugh. I think we were both crazy, so that helped. We were both very loud and very crazy. So I wanted to get Libby on. We were part of a mastermind group for a good few years, and we'd meet up every month, every 6 weeks. So I've seen behind the scenes of your business. I know your core values, your work ethic. So very happy to have you on, have a bit of a catch up. And you're an expert in social media. So I thought you could share some top tips with the audience. So why don't you do a much better introduction of yourself? Tell me a bit about business and a bit about yourself.
Thank you. Well, it's really nice to be on, and it's nice to be included in that. It's very nice to see you again after a hiatus of several years. But yeah, I've been teaching businesses how to use social media for about 11 years now, actually. And I've been doing that for over 9 as my own business. So I feel relatively seasoned at this. And my focus really has always been working with small businesses. I'm a small business owner myself, and I like the fact that you can, with a little thing, you can make a really big difference to someone, and that's very satisfying for me, and it's also really rewarding for the business owners. So yeah, it's good fun. It's been an interesting journey over the 11 years. I mean, when I first started, Instagram didn't even exist, for example. We were LinkedIn, we were Twitter, and Facebook. So how it's all changed has been really interesting to see. It's a darn sight more complicated and difficult than it used to be, but it's interesting. Gets my brain ticking over.
It does, and I remember I just used to, when Facebook ads were new, you'd go on and it was very simple and there was a lot more options. So you'd pick your demographics, and then it seems like every single month that something new comes out, they've changed the menu options. And I went in to just do a quick ad, probably in November, and it turns out that there is no quick ads these days. You have to set things up. You have to get an ad manager. It's business manager, and I'm not daft when it comes to tech and computers and stuff, but that was a tipping point for me where I thought there's no way I can keep up with this on a weekly basis, and it makes sense to pay somebody to do it. And things are changing. Back when we started, it was, if you put a nice bit of content on, then it was pictures, and people would say, that'll be the dogs that'll bark constantly. I'm in the office myself. So back then it was pictures, and everybody would say, yeah, put a picture, it gets more. And then it was videos, and now I suppose it's live. So here is talking about live. There's, it's live when things go disastrously wrong.
Well, I've told my husband to lock himself in the other room because he's really noisy when he's on the phone. So we all, it's always, that's the beauty of now. Actually, that's one thing that I think has really changed for the positive in this last year, is that I've always been an advocate of doing stuff online. I mean, I ran a BTEC in social media, 7 years ago or something like that. So this online delivery is kind of not new to me. But what's happened in the last year is that everybody's doing it in every industry now. Meetings are on Zoom, and we all accept and expect the dogs to bark or the kids to come in or something, doorbell to ring, whatever it is, and that's normal and acceptable. I think it's really nice because it just makes everything a bit more real, a bit less polished, a bit more accessible. I think that's been a real positive that's come out of the last year, actually, I would say.
I'm never one for saying the new normal and repeating words that we're programmed to say by the media and the news. But again, it doesn't make sense for us to be nipping about and wasting the environment by going for meetings. And I think there was 8 of us that used to go to Birmingham every month, 6 weeks, and we'd drive down, and we'd all got a hotel, we'd book dinner, and again, that was good because it was
fly as well sometimes, wouldn't you? Yeah.
But now we would probably just get the same value of sitting here and, being able to maybe do a little bit in your business. You take that traveling time out the equation. For me, it was 5 hours. Well, that's 5 hours I can spend in my business, and there's nothing beats face to face and a good hug. But again, that's just the way the world is. We're saving the environment and doing other things. I think that's my staff member, and so I'm just not getting robbed. Don't worry. I'm used to being in this.
They're very good guard dogs, anyway.
We now have 13 staff members here, and they mostly work from home, but they're in for keys. An interesting topic I've seen recently is things happening across social media. Everybody had a voice. It was pretty, net neutrality. You could say what you wanted, but certainly in the latter half of last year, we've seen Donald Trump been censored. We've seen people with views just literally had every single account suspended, and the big one's Parler, of course.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Parler situation?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that people want a voice, but largely people want a voice to like-minded people. We want to be part of our own community, and when Facebook and Twitter crack down on the far right stuff, then, oh, hello, Parler, let's all go over there and just build our own, I don't know, whether it's mania over there. And the fact that that's now no longer possible, I guess there'll be something else, people pop up on there. I don't know what Clubhouse is like for monitoring that kind of stuff, but it's perfectly possible that people will pop up on there. It's too new really to kind of say how it's going to be at the moment. But I think that we all want our own communities wherever they are. So, but I don't know, it's a difficult line, because yes, you should in some ways be able to say what you want. However, what you're saying shouldn't be racist, shouldn't be sexist, shouldn't be defamatory, and so it's a fine line, isn't it? Really, you can't go saying those things in the street without getting into trouble. So why should you be able to say them online? It's a difficult balance, but I'm not sorry that Trump's been banned.
Well, in that same note, is it Jack Darcy went on and said we're banning Trump, but the news have come out that they've taken a zero action stance on child pornography on Twitter. So we could say the big tech giants, of which there's lots of stuff happening in various regulation and legislation points of view, if they don't say what the political thing is, they're going to be in trouble if they don't toe the line. But
agree.
What would be more dangerous, Donald Trump or child pornography and the spreading of that? It's a really interesting time in history to be living through, where this is acceptable, but I believe this is acceptable, and therefore that's allowed, but that isn't, and that's not allowed. And I suppose history repeats itself, as the historians will tell you, and the times when free speech gets banned is when you need to worry.
You just have to look back at the Hitler, don't you, really? And it's all really similar, and we all know what happened there. But it was the same thing. It was someone who said the right stuff that hit the right note to a disenfranchised population, and then propaganda was different to propaganda now, because we have so many available news sources, and we kind of know more what's right and wrong, or the majority of us do. But it's not a dissimilar kind of stirring up of the mob in the slightest. It just isn't. People have always looked for somebody to lead them, someone to guide them, someone that they can get hooked into, and social media has facilitated that, and we all have those people. It just might be that ours is, I don't know, Nicola Sturgeon or somebody quite sensible stirring up our mob, which is a gentle kind of nice group of people, or Donald Trump, who gets the disenfranchised to feel like they're being understood. But I don't think you're absolutely right. It will repeat itself unless somebody kind of cracks down on it.
Totally. Probably we'll stay away from politics. That's probably a wise thing.
I wasn't really getting too political. I was talking about the voices.
No, totally. No, I was just thinking it's easy to get roped into. That's definitely the what people heats people up these days. Parler's gone. I don't know if it will be coming back. There was another one that people were switching to. Was it MeWe or WeMe? Was another one where the cool kids were going to. Clubhouse has taken off massively. Is there any other things that somebody that's now hit 40 a few weeks ago won't be aware of? Because the kids.
There's a couple of things. Actually, there's a couple of things that I'm interested in seeing what happened, because Clubhouse has been a real phenomenon, and I'm still on the fence about it. I can see why it's great, because it's kind of like joining live podcasts all the time. But if audio isn't your thing, then that's a bit of a challenge. And the amount of marketing bullshit that's going on in it from people like people in my industry is it kind of needs to settle down, really. So I think it will continue to be valuable, but it needs to find its kind of path. But the two that I'm interested to see what happens is the launch of Twitter Spaces, which is basically Clubhouse on Twitter. Their fleets, their equivalent of Instagram stories, hasn't worked, but it doesn't really work on Facebook either. But I'm interested to see it's invite only, it's iOS only, it's very Clubhousey. So I'm just waiting to see if I'll be allowed in yet. But I think it'd be interesting to see how that same model, if you like, and the same kind of mode works within an existing platform. So I don't know, jury's out on that one. I don't know if Twitter's just kind of had its day, really, and it's too late for that. But the other one is the relaunch of Bebo. Yeah. Now you being Scottish, Bebo was way bigger in Scotland than it was in England, because we had friends who reunited then Facebook. I think in England we kind of went to, and Bebo was much bigger in Scotland. But yeah, it's being relaunched because it got sold for, I don't know, millions, billions, bought back for something like $1 million euros, was it $1 million? And then sold again. But now it's kind of up and running again with the original founder. I forget the chap's name. And I just think it'd be kind of interesting, because what he wants to do with that, what his vision is what Facebook used to be, which was just about friends chatting and kind of real-time live communication. So more stuff like this, I guess Zoomy, that we could just hop on when we felt like it. So almost like an anti-Facebook, but taking the good bits that we know about Facebook that perhaps got lost in the ads and in the business stuff and in the marketing of it, maybe. So I don't know, it's an interesting time. And I think that this last 12 months, the fact that we have moved to online, we don't go out and do anything, so everything is digital, all our communication is digital, and probably, quite frankly, will be for a lot of this year, whatever happens. So it's interesting. It's all interesting to watch. So don't know. I was never on Bebo first time round, so who knows? Maybe I'll be a Bebo virgin.
I don't know. I'd say no. I think it was just at the rise, and I didn't uptake social media then, but I do remember it. And I think somebody sold to Justin Timberlake, or somebody bought it, or that was like MySpace, but some big massive celebrity bought it. So, right, cool. Well,
and it wasn't Justin Timberlake; he was just in the film. But yeah.
You are immersed in this in a day-to-day level. You do lots of training, you've got lots of clients, you've got masterminds. So I thought it would be a good idea to share some of your tips. I don't know if you want to do, platform specific, general, or whatever. I'll leave it up to you, and you can give us some advice for the viewers watching this. I don't know, all levels. I'm sure you've got some great top bits of advice that I can learn from, and everybody can jot down while watching.
I'll do my best. I tend to focus on strategy, really. I'm knowledgeable across the board on platforms, and obviously give platform-specific advice. But strategy is what's really, really is important, and that's the thing that people kind of miss, because it's shiny object syndrome, isn't it? It's like, oh, let's go on Instagram. Oh, let's do stories. Oh, let's go live. But without the strategy, everything kind of gets lost. So that's my focus, and that's kind of what I teach to people in my online program and my consultancy. But a number of mistakes that people make on social media, and we're all guilty of them all the time. But one of the biggies really is putting yourself first. So when you go onto social media, there's this almost panic of, oh, I need to sell something, right? I need some customers. I need to sell something. I need to sell something. But that's not ever going to get you any sales, because unless you're giving value and putting your customers or your potential customers first, there's nothing for people to hook onto, so there's no conversation starter there. Yeah. So definitely one of the biggest mistakes is putting yourself first and not your customers. And it's just a simple little kind of switch in your head, actually. You can use the same language, it's just you versus I, and that's changes in the wording, and that makes a big difference to people. And I think as well, not knowing who your audience is. So if you just go onto social media and you just start broadcasting to the world, you know, it's like, how can you do that? Because there's how many billions of people, and it just isn't a message that's ever going to stick or resonate. So if you know who your ideal customer is, who your target audience is, and you talk to them about the things that matter to them, that's going to make a massive difference in the engagement. And once you get some engagement, then you can start to nurture that and convert that into sales, into customers. So they're kind of key points, but it's all about this not broadcasting. Sorry, it's about not broadcasting. It's about helping people. It's about thinking on a micro level. And I think people get so fixated with the numbers. You know, oh, we've got to get 10,000 followers on Instagram. Why have you got to get 10,000 followers on Instagram? So you can add a swipe up. Doesn't really matter. If you're directing people to the right place and your content is good, you might only need 500 followers, because you only need 10 new clients to make a real big difference to your business. It's a real bugbear of mine that you see so many people. I mean, I would say, yeah, in my industry, how much experience they have and all of that, who knows? But, you know, okay, you know, I went from 0 to 20,000 followers in a fortnight. Well, no, you didn't, did you? And also, why? Why does it matter? It just made me really angry. So it's something that I'm kind of always preaching. And my ideal customer is somebody who is perhaps just starting up, certainly uses social media, but doesn't, I don't know, isn't necessarily in love with it, uses it and gets really enthusiastic, but doesn't have this kind of strategy, doesn't have this kind of focus, doesn't really know where they're going with it, but desperately wants to, but just gets lost in the muddle and the stress and the frustration of people saying, "Ooh, I'll get you 10,000 followers overnight."
I think that's most entrepreneurs, most new startup businesses are there, and we think, well, I've got a new business or a new service or product, and I'm very passionate about it. But I mean, where do you start? I started my first business in 2005, and I still don't. These LinkedIn lives that we're doing is one strategy, but I still don't have a firm thing of here is an overall strategy that's written down, that's planned. I happen to have a slight advantage that I don't have a fear about going on video. Doesn't mean my content's any good, but so that's the only advantage I have, is putting myself out there, but people would be sitting terrified to do it. I brought a thing up, I'll cover the name, but it was just a thing, you won't be able to see it on Instagram. But basically that was this 37 minutes ago, and it was, do you want to make an extra £50 a month from selling milkshakes? And there's a thing on my LinkedIn, and it's something, it's written to say building the headline, it shows you the picture, your name, and then underneath it's trying to build the world's largest property management company. And every couple of days we'll still get people saying, would you like to earn £100 a week extra selling milkshakes? And you're like, you're just spam inbox me. You didn't read the profile. Now, whether I am building the world's biggest platform, but at least I'm trying.
But you're building it. That's the point. You're not it. You're building it, and that's the objective. That's the message, isn't it? You know,
as somebody that's trying to build the world's biggest company in that sector, going to want that to make £100 extra. And it's not that I'm a super billionaire, but people spam me all the time and don't read the profile. It would be like me saying, Libby, do you need any social media help? Do you want me to run your ads campaign? You'd be like, read my profile. That's what I do.
I have to say, for me, that LinkedIn is the worst for that. Instagram is not. Instagram just kind of isn't too bad. I suppose it's where I invest the most time and effort on Instagram, and I've got a really lovely community there, which I engage with and who become clients. So it's a nice kind of setup.
Your handle on Instagram?
Huh?
What's your? Is that a handle? Do they call it a handle?
Yeah, I'm Libby Langley on most things. So I'm Libby Langley on Instagram, Libby Langley on Twitter, / Libby Langley UK on Facebook. And Libby Langley, you'll be able to find me on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is the worst because, my bio is really clear as to what I do and who my target customer is. But I get people saying, do you want me to help you grow your business? Well, no, that's kind of what I teach other people. Yeah. Did you not read any of it? And I get the same almost copy and paste comments and messages from people, and I can see that I just never replied to the first one, never replied to the second one, and it's like, oh man, that is soul destroying from them on the other end. But it's just such a bloody waste of time.
I think at the level that we're doing, there are companies there that just it's automated software, so you can design like text messaging, you can send automated SMS short codes, and that works for text because of the scale. But on LinkedIn, you're connecting with hopefully professional business people in some capacity. They've either got their own job or they've got a reasonably decent career, because people don't have LinkedIn profiles unless they're in business in some capacity. So for me, it would just give me the fear that I'm messaging random people and destroying a potential relationship by letting somebody else do it.
I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with direct messaging people. I'm not saying that, but it's about, don't just jump in and, try and get straight to the nitty gritty without at least saying, hello, how are you first, But what's interesting with the way that Mark Zuckerberg is trying to change Facebook, I don't know if it's working or not, but I think what he's trying to do is focus is all about one-to-one conversations and about relationships, which is how it started and which is what Bebo's looking to do. I don't think he's achieving it, but certainly in the last couple of big Facebook updates and his big conferences that he does, that's been the message. And I do think that is the way that we all need to think on social media. So what I was saying before about this just going on and just broadcasting, just scattergunning your message, it doesn't work now. It used to work. You used to be able to, like you said, you used to be able to put a Facebook post out and you'd get, you'd be able to make a few grand overnight from one post. It just does not work like that anymore, really. So you have to be strategic in your messaging, but you have to think like every single piece of content that you put out there is the start of a conversation with one person. And if you switch your thinking like that, I mean, if that is your strategy, then that's absolutely fine. That's kind of enough to get you going on things. Then that's where you're going to get results, and that's where you're going to reap some kind of reward for what the time and effort that you're putting in, really.
Yeah, I had because I remember over Christmas and New Year, and I deleted Facebook from my phone and just thought, instantly your brain is programmed to click on it, and you think, wait a minute, I was in emails, and now you don't even realise that your thumb or finger goes to it. And I wanted to spend less time on Facebook for this month, the month of February, and focusing all my time on LinkedIn. And I thought, well, what would if I just spent all my time on social media, and again, this is business social media for social things, and looked at people arguing over COVID and people grassing their neighbours for not wearing a mask and outraged that somebody did this, and some funny stuff and some connecting. But my thing for February, as I record this, is, well, could I make some genuine connections? And I don't mean followers, I mean genuine conversations. Like, we've reconnected. If I was on Facebook, we wouldn't have done this. We just happened to put a post out and thought, well, we saw each other and thought, well, you would be a great person to come on and have 28 of these and connect. Then I will share the results of that at the end. But 28 days of this, and even at the weekend, I didn't go on Facebook, and I was thinking I'll reply to messages, even if you reply to them a day faster than we normally do, and give people value and answer questions, because you will get bombarded with people asking you for free stuff, and there's a balance of you want help and you want to share your knowledge and maybe make somebody's life or business better. But likewise, if you did that, you would never have any paying clients. You could never pay the bills. You would go bankrupt.
People get directed to something. Absolutely.
Yeah.
About that. It's interesting you're doing these. You've set February as a kind of month for doing these interviews, and you're doing it on LinkedIn, because I've been doing a series of interviews. I mean, I started at the beginning of the year, so there's not really, it's just something I'm doing quite once or twice a week, but I do it on Instagram. So I do Instagram lives with people, with owners of small businesses, and the series is called Social Media and Me, and it's about them and their business and how they've used social media in the last 12 months, because the last 12 months has been kind of tough for a lot of people, but it's been a really fascinating and uplifting and way more inspiring than I thought it was going to be series of interviews, just half an hour or so like this.
Yep.
But them just explaining a bit about their business and then how they've used social media to grow, to wildly pivot, to or just technology, I suppose, to kind of get themselves through. And yeah, it's been great, because one of them particularly was with a beauty clinic, and you'd think, well, God, that must be a tough, miserable old story, because they've been shut for what, 7 months out of the last 12 now or something, which is just insane. But actually the positivity of it, and how they can access training now that they couldn't before, and how they've built up much more of a community on social media because they've been spending the time and effort on it and actually seeing the value in it, rather than just broadcasting here's some, book a treatment, whatever. It's been really interesting. So I hope that your experience of doing these interviews is going to be as rewarding for you, as well as your audience, obviously, but as rewarding for you as me doing the series for me has. I found it really inspiring. I mean, obviously I talk about social media all the time, but actually listening to other people's experiences, we can all learn from it.
Well, you have a much better handle on Instagram than I will on LinkedIn or Instagram, because I'm far too old for Instagram. It's just
younger than me, so careful what you say.
Stories in my Instagram TV out and stuff, so I should pop all these on and make a wee channel or something, but I will need to get someone like you to do that. So a nice story of social media, but positivity. And you can think of another few rapid fire tips while I share this. Where I live in Glasgow, Newton Mearns, and there was a cafe there, and just as lockdown hit, the cafe was okay, but it's Newton Mearns. It's one of the most affluent areas of Glasgow, and I don't say that because I live there. That's not what I mean. It's just people have money to spend, and if you open a shop there, you could. But this little cafe didn't work, and he sold it a month before lockdown, and then this time last year, and he sold it saying it doesn't work, and this lady took it on. And then the lockdowns hit and everything was absolutely shut down and destroyed. And they were saying, well, that lady, Mariana, bought that at the worst time ever, and I'm glad I got out because it didn't work. And if it didn't work pre-COVID, it won't work after COVID. And it turns out Mariana used social media amazingly well. She literally, there was queues of people because it's Newton Mearns, and she did afternoon tea on a Saturday. So all the housewives of Newton Mearns would get their afternoon tea. And again, we got afternoon tea. They did amazing cakes. And Mariana just shared social media well, so that if she said there's only a few of these slices of my homemade cake left, boom, there'd be people fighting outside to get it.
Run, and he just gone.
More money during lockdown than she would have in a normal time having that cafe, because perhaps she was just good at social media before it, but perhaps she bought that business and thought, well, I've just bought a business and I do need to go out my comfort zones, push a little bit harder, spend some time in social media because there aren't walk-bys. So whatever she did, it's called Mariana, so I'm assuming the lady is Mariana, but she's made that amazingly successful, and she's always posting, well, that's me sold out. So she makes all these, platters and stuff, which people in the summer just bought platters from her. And I thought that was an amazing story, because there's many businesses say, well, lockdown or COVID's going to destroy my business, but you'll have seen thousands of businesses over the year that wouldn't have nothing to do with COVID. COVID's been disastrous for a lot of industries. And
yeah, I'm not saying COVID's been a good thing. I'm saying there are positive stories that have come out of people's resilience and spirit. Absolutely, yeah. And I think part of it is the approach that we have to things, perhaps. You know, I mean, I've changed my business completely this last year. It's allowed me, I suppose, being forced to take a bit of a step back from life, which we all were last March or so, enabled me to kind of think, right, what do I really want to do? And to just leave it down. And that's what I focus on. And I think a lot of other businesses have done the same thing. And I could have said, oh, well, this is terrible. You know, that client now doesn't, you know, I don't work with that client anymore. But actually, I'm doing what I want to do. And it's just having to stay at home a bit more enabled me to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I've kind of got no complaints business-wise about anything.
Good.
About anything. It's good. And it's more rewarding for me. And I guess for the woman who owns that cafe as well, she's making tiny little differences to people's lives. And that's how I think about what I do. You know, little differences, they add up to, well, you came in a real muddle and now look at you. And so the little differences add up to a huge, great big weight lifting off. And it's good. Yeah, it's a good place to be, really.
So you mentioned a great point there. There's people that might not have needed somebody like you to manage stuff, because one, social media wasn't that big a strategy in their thing, and they get people walking or, you know, in their local shopping centre. There will be people that didn't need your services this time last year but might need them this year. What can you offer businesses, and what's your kind of ideal customer? You mentioned it at the start, but to finish up, small new businesses.
Not necessarily new businesses, no, but small businesses. I like to work with business owners, because they're the ones who have a million different things on their plate. And, you know, you're a business owner, I'm a business owner, we understand what it's like. So I work with kind of kindred spirits, I suppose, who've got small social media followings, who are keen to grow the number of customers they've got, and their social media following kind of goes with that. But feel kind of stressed and anxious, and just like they just can't quite get it yet. So it's that kind of feeling. And the way that I have an online program that I help people with, a learn at your own pace online program that it's all online, but they get support from me in a Facebook group and weekly live Q&A. So that's my main kind of focus. But the thing that I can give to everybody is a free masterclass. So if you go to libbylangley.com/masterclass, then there's an hour-long free masterclass there that will help you discover the 3 essential secrets to stress-free social media. And it's this stress-free social media that is my absolute mission, to educate people on, to help people, and to just stop all the, because life's kind of stressful now. So, you know, we don't need social media to add to that stress. What we need is a clear step-by-step strategy that we know what we're doing. Boom. That turns it nicely into customers.
I like that, because social media, you know, you're saying we're going into another lockdown, this new strain, this new variant, and like me, coming off and basically getting rid of a lot of noise to concentrate on business. So there will be people that instantly now look at Facebook and social media, and, you know, you get a hit of dopamine. Before it was, I'm addicted because the brain works like that as well, these platforms know. But now, and that was the way I was getting it, it was starting to, around dopamine, it was probably about cortisol. It was a bit of stress, because you're going to go on and see maybe something that, another lockdown or something, or a new strain, and people worry. So going on and not, I love the term stress-free social media. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was born out of my own experiences as well, really, and obviously all the years I've been doing this. But yeah, it is. There's too much stress. People don't need stress adding to it. What we all need is a clear path, that we know what we're doing, we know how to follow it, and it just doesn't take hours. It's a few minutes here and there, and it makes a big difference. It's as simple as that.
Perfect. Well, I can give you a testimonial, because we were in a mastermind group and it was with 8 hours, and I think everybody in the mastermind group just used to pick your brain. So we essentially get free training out of you for a good few years to say, oh, how does this work? And they've changed this, and what's the best strategy? So it's been a few years since we worked with each other, but I can definitely say recommend Libby for social media stuff. So I've put a link in there, LibbyLangley.com. It should come up in the recording, and I'm going to share this content. So this is going to live on LinkedIn, my Facebook, and my business Facebook. So Libby, I'll share all your details when I post this on the content underneath on YouTube, etc., and everyone can contact you there. So any final tips before we finish off? We're only going to chat for 20 minutes, but I know
I feel like we could go on all day, but that's all right, because there's other stuff. My builder's arrived downstairs, I can hear, so I need to go and see what he's doing. I would say that my final tip, and the thing to remember, is that this is a tool that social media is a tool, and if you use it well, it will get you results. But without the strategy, you're just going to be wasting time and energy. So it's the backbone stuff that matters, not the shiny stuff.
Yep. Right. Cool. Well, that's great. Thank you very much. I learned loads of stuff, like the Bebos coming back, and you young trendy people know I can now drop Bebo into a conversation and look cool. And make sure I got on there and claim my domain name. One thing you didn't say was a tip that I thought was very good, was you said your handle or tag was the same across all the platforms, which means it's nice and easy. And for me, Pillow is full of pillows that aren't to do with my business. So if any new social media comes on, go on and make sure you get that hashtag, people, and make sure you get that thing.
Yeah, don't claim your username. Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you're not interested in using it, go on and get it before somebody else does.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll let you go see your builders. I'll go see what carnage my dogs have done to the visitors. And I will definitely keep in touch and catch up with you soon. Thanks.
Yeah, it's been lovely. Thank you ever so much, Scott. Really nice to see you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.